Our speaker today is Rob Kelly. I have known Rob for many years, as we were reading coaches together for Duval County Public Schools. Although we never worked in the same school, we spent many hours at workshops and trainings trying to figure out the best practices for teaching reading to help our students and teachers. Rob went on to be a district literacy specialist. Wanting to better understand how to provide high-quality literacy instruction, Rob left to pursue his PhD at Ohio State University. Lucky for us, he returned to Jacksonville and began his work at Reed USA as Chief Academic Officer. In 2022, he was appointed CEO, and they couldn't have found a better person for the job. Rob's dedication to improving literacy in our city and his leadership at Reed USA has made the programs at Reed USA models for the entire country. In addition to his role at Reed USA, Rob has recently been appointed chairman of the Reed-JAX Systems Building Committee. Reed-JAX is a countywide initiative to promote school readiness. Rob is a very busy guy. And I am very happy that he found the time to be with us here today. Welcome to UUCJ, my very good friend, Rob Kelly.
Good morning. I'm so thankful to be here today, and I'm glad, first of all, that I have the opportunity to thank you for supporting many children in this community over the years through Reed USA. What you've done, the money that you've given, has helped us to put books into kids' hands who might otherwise not have books to read at home. And not just putting books in their hands, we're putting books in their hands that they choose, that they want to read, because that's important. I want to tell you just a little bit about some other things we do at Reed USA, and then I want to go back and talk about the video clip that we saw about the importance of reading fiction. Reed USA, like Meg said, is a nonprofit that focuses on solving illiteracy, and we believe that it can be solved through putting books in kids' hands that they want to read and teaching them how to read those books. It's that simple, but it requires time and energy and people and money to do that. And again, thank you to your church and to Meg and Peter Racine for supporting that work. One of the other things that we do, besides the book fairs that many of you are familiar with, is we tutor children in Duval County Public Schools. We have hundreds of teens, 16 to 21-year-olds, that we train and pay to go in under the supervision of reading teachers to tutor young children having difficulty in reading. And many of you may have seen the article that Mark Woods wrote in the paper recently about one of our teens, Ronnie, who's an immigrant from Africa with his family. And Ronnie not only is teaching young children how to improve their reading, he is in turn learning with the skills that he's learned through tutoring, teaching his father how to read English. So it's pretty impressive, the ripple effect that we see through the programming. Our young people are amazing. I want to go back to Rita Carter that you saw earlier, and she was talking about the importance of reading fiction. It's probably no surprise to many of you that we're living in strange times when it comes to books. And it's sad times as well. We are at a point now where we're having arguments over whether to put the dictionary in schools because of inappropriate material. It's the lawsuit's happening now. So it's crazy, isn't it? But I want you to know that one of the positive things that's coming out of this is that we're hearing from people like you that's saying, listen, enough is enough. Children need to read books, and children need books where they can see themselves, see others, and have other experiences that they may never have except through reading. And that's what we do. That's our mission, that's what we do, and we're still doing that despite the craziness that we're seeing happening around us in that. But more importantly, the attack that we're seeing on books is specifically on fiction books. It's the stories about humanity. It's the stories about what brings us together. Those are the stories, and those are the types of books that are being targeted. So I want to share with you from a research point of view, the importance of why we need children reading fiction books. Now, I'm not to say that science books aren't important and learning about nature is not important. All of those things are important. But fiction in particular is important. So I'm going to pick up where the video left off and share with you some of the importances that we know now. And this is all summarizing research that's out there about the importance of reading fiction. Number one, I just mentioned windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors. Back in the 80s and 90s, Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop, emeritus from The Ohio State University, she was the first African-American woman to study children's literature and to bring attention to the fact that not only was there a lack of diversity in the books we were using to teach children how to read, but she brought importance to the reason why we need diversity in the books children read. And that is because they provide, these books, if they are diverse books, provide an opportunity for children to see themselves. I remember when Barack Obama became our first African-American president, and he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like, now children can see it, right? They can see it to be it. And so seeing themselves in books is important, but seeing others in books is important as well. I may not have a friend of a different religious faith or a certain nationality, but I can become almost a friend to someone through fiction books. And then, of course, the sliding glass doors, the opportunity to step out and experience something that otherwise you may not be able to experience. And that's either through something emotional or possibly visiting a place that you might not be able to visit. So reading fiction is important, but there's another thing that it does for us. It taps into what we call theory of mind. And theory of mind, it's a big study, a field, so I don't want to simplify it, but the way I think about theory of mind is it's the way that we can look at someone else and acknowledge what they might be feeling. So we can look at someone's facial expressions, we can see someone's actions, we can hear someone's language, and we can, through theory of mind, we can say, I understand, or I can comprehend what they might be going through. And of course, you might be thinking, well, that sounds like it might lead to something that we see a lot of people in need of these days, empathy. Right. So through having diverse children's books and through fiction books particularly, we are able to help children develop a theory of mind so that they can be aware of not only their own feelings, but the feelings of those around us and develop that important characteristic we call empathy. I want to give you an example. I brought with me Charlotte's Web. And I brought this book because I figured this was a book that most people would be familiar with, Charlotte's Web. And I want to read to you the very opening part of Charlotte's Web. And I want you to think with me, and if you want to close your eyes while I read this, that's fine. But I want you to think about what we just talked about with the theory of mind and empathy and the importance of fiction and putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And listen to this segment of the book. This is the opening passage. "Where's Papa going with that axe?" said Fern to her mother as they were setting the table for breakfast. "Oh, out to the hog house," replied Mrs. Arable. "Some pigs were born last night." "Well, I don't see why he needs an axe," continued Fern, who was only 8. Well, said her mother, one of the pigs is a runt. It's very small and weak, and it will never amount to anything, so your father has decided to do away with it. Do away with it, shrieked Fern. You mean kill it just because it's smaller than the others? Mrs. Arable put a pitcher of cream on the table. Don't yell, Fern, she said. Your father is right. The pig would probably die anyway. Fern pushed a chair out of the way and ran outdoors. The grass was wet and the earth smelled of springtime. Fern's sneakers were sopping by the time she caught up with her father. Please don't kill it, please, she sobbed. It's unfair. Mr. Arable stopped walking. Fern, he said gently, you will have to learn to control yourself. Control myself, yelled Fern. This is a matter of life and death, and you're talking about controlling myself? Tears ran down her cheeks, and she took hold of the axe and tried to pull it out of her father's hand. Can you feel the emotion in that passage there? Might it have brought you back to a time when possibly you stood up for someone or something, when you saw injustice being carried out or injustice being carried out, and you tried to stop it, you stepped in, and you remember those feelings of what that felt like? These are the types of fiction books that I'm talking about. This is just one example, but that's the type of book that we need children reading, and many more modern examples of this as well, so that they can experience what it means to have theory of mind and empathy for someone else or something else. So as I close, I want to tell you that by supporting Read USA, you're supporting helping kids learn empathy. You're supporting putting diverse books in kids' hands. You're supporting helping them see themselves, see others, and sometimes step through a sliding glass door and have another experience that they may not otherwise have. So I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for the work that you do here. Being a part of this service has been an honor for me, and I appreciate Meg, who's been a longtime friend, and I know Peter is not here, but I do appreciate his support as well. And I hope maybe this is just part one. Maybe if I say that, I'll get invited back. I don't know. But no, it's been a pleasure, though. And thank you for letting me take just a few moments to share with you and be a part of this service this morning. Thank you.